you guys doing today? My name is Jessica Johnson from Western Michigan, and I have again my favorite special guest, Kathleen Sherman, who is a Reiki master as well as a shamanic medical intuitive. I don't know why I struggle with that sometimes, but it happens. It's like a dark Dr. Seuss book. But anywho, so today we're going to be talking about something that a lot of people want to know. They want to know about psychic vampires, and there's a lot of information out there. Some of it can give you a little bit of tidbit of information. Some of it is more detailed than others, but we're going to discuss it, and we're going to discuss some pining questions that people have had about psychic vampires in regards to: is there many different types? Is there many different ways that they feed? What is their energy like? And what are some of the characteristics that are within psychic vampires? And can psychic vampires be a contribute to society rather than, parasitic? So we're going to be discussing about all that. So get ready, pop some popcorn, get you some tea, and sit down, because you're going to be very much peeled into this conversation that we're going to have. And we're going to listen to how Kathleen, her take about it, because she can actually see the energy of psychic vampires, and she's going to be talking about how to also protect yourself. So that's very important, because there is other psychic vampires that are out there that have, malevolent intent. So we want to make sure that you're protected. So take it away, Kathleen, introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Kathleen Sherman. I'm a shamanic medical intuitive, which means I'm actually kind of a mixture of all different kinds of modalities. I'm a medium, I'm a psychic, I'm a medical intuitive, which means I look inside people's energy fields. It doesn't necessarily mean I'm going to diagnose somebody. I actually can't even do that. I get information psychically about somebody's health and well-being, and it could be something in their emotional field. Most of the time, actually, it is their emotional field that connects with their body and their energy body, and that's what I look into. So I see things from emotions that are in the energy field or stuck in the energy field. So that's what I look at, and it's also a form of shamanism. It's just a natural ability, gifts that actually we all have all of these gifts, but it's something that I really that's what I tap into, and so that's what I do. So I call myself a shamanic medical intuitive because it's a combination of all different types of modalities. So
yeah, that's the first time I've ever heard of a shamanic medical intuitive, because I stumbled with that word at first quite often, and I was going to ask you what exactly was a medical or a shamanic medical intuitive, because it was a word that I've never heard before, and I'm sure many other viewers have not heard that, that title before and what that meant.
Yeah, and that was actually I learned as a medical intuitive. I'm a Reiki master, and then I learned about becoming a medical intuitive, which is just kind of like seeing into the body. Like I said, it's like seeing into the energy field and helping people heal energetically from all different types of things. And basically what I'm doing is I'm channeling this information from spirit and from my spirit guides, only those who walk in the white light, of course. And when I channel this information, they help me see what people need, and then they help me go through and do these healing processes with them. It could be like a soul retrieval, where you're kind of going back and picking up pieces from somebody's either past life or current life, and bringing them back and kind of meshing them together and healing them both, bringing them back together. Picking up pieces of their soul from different places, helping people release all kinds of energies that they take in, be it from like psychic vampires or anything like that. So there's many, many different things. And I bring in light and healing and remove lower energies from their energy field, bring the light back in, all kinds of things.
Well, there is a question. Now, is it true that when people go to places like haunted houses or certain area where the energy is dense, is it true that people wind up taking some of that, or it gets attached to their auric field?
Definitely can. Yep. And I have friends that have called me and they're like, oh, something happened when I went into this place. And even a place that I went to recently, that was very known as a haunted place up north. I'll just say that. And when I went into that place, I felt empathic, which means I can feel energies.
Mhm.
And so when I went in there, I felt like I was just gonna, like, I felt very nauseous and very sick to my stomach. And I just knew some yucky stuff had happened there. And so I could feel that energy. Also, sometimes people can have things that will attach to them if they go into places, and it can be anywhere. There are lower energies anywhere, that we could run up against and that could attach themselves to us. And
Absolutely.
it,
Go
sorry,
ahead.
go
I'm
ahead.
sorry. No, go ahead.
I was gonna say that, it can be a lower entity, even demonic beings. There are all different types of beings, and lower energies that we can come up against or that are around our energy field. If we are healthy and happy and at a high vibration, which means we keep ourselves free of all of the lower energies like guilt, fear, shame, anger, things like that. If
Mhm.
we're at a high level and we're feeling good, usually there's not much room for those things to get into our energy field, unless if we have some rips or tears in our energy field, in
Mhm.
our etheric field, which is like our aura.
Yep.
And so sometimes they can kind of skedaddle in there. They can come in different ways. And it's not to put any fear in anybody, but a lot of times people have these types of things in their energy field. And I feel like they're here to kind of teach us some lessons in life.
So would
Really.
it be fair to say that not only could, being in contact with a psychic vampire could drain your energy and prevent
Mm-hmm.
you, but these other things that are also attached to your auric field, your etheric field, that, can basically drain you and give you the same symptoms as if you were being directly attacked by a psychic vampire.
Most definitely. So there are people that we are in contact with
Hmm.
that our energy feels crisscross when we're around people, and when we're, especially when we're in relationship with them in some way, shape, or form. Could be
Hmm.
just a friendship or whatever. And sometimes their energy kind of is encroaching on ours and can affect us. Like, so what I see in people's energy fields is looks like strings to each other. So one of the things we can do, if somebody's energy is kind of making us feel yucky, um, making us feel like we're tied to them. And then what happens is it kind of pushes and pulls our energy
Hmm.
um, with motion, as opposed, due to the fact that that person is almost like connected to us. So
Yeah.
it's like a connection that they have into our energy field. And
Hmm.
there can all, when I look inside, most of the time it looks like hooks into our energy field, and so we feel the emotions from them. It's like they attach to the person who is any person, any other person they can attach to, especially somebody with a lot of light. They
Hmm.
with a higher vibration, like what I was talking about earlier,
Hmm.
and they'll kind of attach in and kind of whittle their way in and just like hook into your energy field so that they can draw off that light that we have, if
So
that makes
basically,
sense.
it doesn't matter whether they, have that dense energy or higher energy. No matter if you're in connection with somebody, whether they're aware of the spiritual aspect or not, you are
Mm-hmm.
connected to that person and everything. Even
Mm-hmm.
animals for that matter, and even,
Yep.
like a lot of people, including myself, when we want to ground ourselves, we go to a tree or
Mm-hmm.
something of that nature, and we're connecting ourselves to that tree. Now, people
Mm-hmm.
might think that it's just a tree. No, it's a living being, organic,
Mm-hmm.
but it's a living being. And so you can
Mm-hmm.
connect with that, and it really does help you ground, same as laying out in your lawn. So we
Mm-hmm.
connect with everything. I mean, the best movie I can basically quote and how that works is Avatar,
Yeah.
where it connects to everything around them, including animals. So
Mm-hmm.
tell me what is within the auric field of a psychic vampire to be able to tell the difference between a psychic vampire versus a regular person. Because I know that when some people are sick too, they can
Mm-hmm.
have that vampiric trait, but they're not a psychic vampire per se. They're just at a
Mm-hmm.
survival mode and just
Mm-hmm.
trying to heal themselves in any way they can. So
Yeah.
please go ahead and explain how all that works, if you could.
Sure. Well, like I just asked my guides, and they show me pictures in my head. And so it's usually somebody who's not in a good place mentally with themselves, who isn't, because we all are connected to source. We're all a piece of the God source.
Hmm.
And so if they are far removed from that, or not realizing that they have their own gifts and abilities and their own light, because we're really light, we're really this beautiful sunshine or white light.
You were
Um,
created
our,
in love.
yes. And so what happens is I see in my vision, my view is that they have darker energy. They have a darker view of things. And
Hmm.
so, but I see an energy like in their body. So in their auric field. So what they show me, my guides show me, is that it's a denser, darker color in their energy field. And in order to make themselves feel brighter like us, they kind of send those feelers, energy feelers, into our energy field to kind of suck it out like a straw, kind of.
Mhm. Yeah, and there's some people who are, have that are psychic vampires that wind up ripping and tearing, and wind up taking that energy more aggressively, which means that when they rip and tear
Mhm.
within your auric field, your etheric field and everything, you can wind up leaking energy due to this
Yes.
attack type attack.
Most definitely. And I see that a lot with energies leaking outside the body, because we all have a chakra system that our energy moves through our body.
Mhm.
And if our energy is leaking in any body part, or any energetic body part, I should say, it's going to make you also feel lethargic and exhausted,
Mhm.
tired. And so one of the things that we all can do actually is to look inside our own energy field. Or if you can't do it at the time, you can always, go to like a Reiki healer or another healer type of person like
Mhm.
me, that can actually look inside your energy field and see if you have an energy leakage. So like, if somebody were to have an energy leakage in their stomach, they're going to have a lot of belly problems. They're going to feel sick a lot of the time, have some kind of issues. And actually, when I went through my medical intuitive classes, that was the first thing I noticed about me. And that told me also that I was giving to everybody else, always giving. And it was just kind of like, when she told us to look inside our own energy field, I looked down to my stomach, and my whole stomach is just leaking all this energy
Oh,
all the
wow.
time. So I felt exhausted. I was actually ill at the time, because I had this form of shingles over and over. So my body wasn't well all the way, and I didn't feel well. But then when I learned that, I learned how to pull my energy back, which is kind of cool. We can pull our
Yeah.
energy back, and we can fix our etheric fields very easily. So that's what a medical intuitive does. They kind of go in and help people release all of those cords and um, all those etheric things that come from other types of other people. And it doesn't necessarily always have to be an energy vampire. Sometimes it's just connections that we've had with somebody, especially close relationships,
Mhm.
any type of close relationships. So, um, in order for us to stand on our own energetically, and be really healthy and clear energetically, we kind of have to remove all of those things. Does that
Mhm.
make sense?
Yes, it does. Actually, but the thing is that when, also too, when in regards to the chakras and everything
Mhm.
else, anytime that any of them are overreacting or imbalanced, it winds up, the strange thing about it is that we always wind up having stomach issues. Okay,
Mhm.
because the solar plex is like the warrior chakra. It's going to let you know,
Mhm.
the old saying goes, your gut instincts, right? So it's going to let you know that, there's something ain't right. Things are not as, balanced as they should.
Yeah.
And so let me ask you this: what would be like a simpler, or like an easy way that somebody can heal themselves? Just like, I mean, nothing's easy, but there's many different ways and techniques. But something that people can basically have in their mind and kind of look into
Mhm.
being able to heal themselves after they have went through, the different things that they went through to that's sucking out their energy.
Mhm. They can actually, our everything that we do is in our mind. So our thoughts create our reality. What
Hmm.
we can do is we can just say out loud. Anything we say out loud, our body will listen to. Our
Hmm.
body is very intuitive. Our energy field in a league of its own. So it's us, but it's on a plane that we don't really understand. So
Mm-hmm.
I call it the innate, and we can talk to ourselves. We
Mm-hmm.
can literally talk to ourselves. So you can just tell your energy, I release anything of a lower nature that doesn't belong to me right now. And one of the really important things is on that, we need to pull that from the roots gently out and release it. We can ground it into the ground, or we can hand it over to angels. But if we leave a little bit in there to fester, it will stay in there and keep making us feel
Oh yeah, it'll be
kind of
like a
rotten.
cancer. Yeah, it'll
Mm-hmm.
be like a cancer,
Yep.
and basically toxic. Make you toxic
Mm-hmm.
into a toxic person. You know,
Yes. And
and
then
go ahead. I'm sorry.
yep, that's okay. And then part of that is if we release things out of our energy field, we really need to bring the light back in from
Mm-hmm.
source. So, and we need to fill those holes back in. So that's a big part of it. If we don't do that, our energy can look like Swiss cheese. We don't want that. And so, like when our energy has holes like that, it leaves us open to even more things that can come through our energy field. So,
Mm-hmm.
if we're a bright, shining light that's full and complete with that, I'm just going to call it sunlight energy or source energy that looks like sparkly white light or golden sunlight. If we're full of that, really almost nothing can touch us. So we're our own force field. I'll
Yeah,
just put it that
and
way.
it's like we repel that when we raise our vibration. We really
Mm-hmm.
do, and it. That's why a lot of light workers or people who have have done a lot of work within themselves can basically go into any location and not be really greatly affected as it would other people. So
Mm-hmm.
please tell me the different ways that psychic vampires feed, just so people understand that it's not just a one way, that's it, but many of them feed differently, which classifies them as different types, so to speak.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm. Well, and I see different things also that can be psychic vampires. So, like I said, I can see lower energies that can be attached to people, and they can actually be in somebody's energy field,
mhm.
and that can feel very scary. I've had that happen to me myself,
Oh,
and so that was something that I had to. And I just got mad actually when because I didn't know what I was doing yet. I got mad and pushed it out of my energy field, and it got it out of my energy field, but it probably is going to go to somebody else afterwards. So I don't do that, of course, anymore.
right.
That's when I was first learning and didn't understand the whole aspect of it. But now I personally will go in and help people remove them from their energy fields, and that like they can be literally around somebody's energy field. These are non-living entities.
Hmm.
Um, they can be around them or embedded into their energy field,
Hmm.
literally. And so those those need to be pulled out and then filled in with light, like I was talking about. Or you can have people who are like mentally abusive, or you know give you a hard time, just kind of pulling you back in. It can be that push and pull with how they treat you and what they say to you, and pulling you back in all the time. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
With with conversations and with your relationship with them.
Well, you got to understand.
Manipulation.
Yeah. Yeah, you
Yeah.
got to understand that's what it is they're manipulating the energy, the emotional energy. So when
Mm-hmm.
they take from that and everything, it's just bringing you down, 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 and it's causing
Mm-hmm.
that rips and tears and everything
Yes.
else. And that's how it works. There's some
Yep.
people who are energetic vampires that don't realize that they are, but
Yes.
because of what they do, and some people wind up getting like a euphoric high off the energy that they feed off another person, and it
Mm-hmm.
becomes more like a drug, because
Yeah.
they burn through that energy that they had taken from you,
Mm-hmm.
and and they're out getting it wherever they can.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's people who don't directly take it from people, but take it from what is accessed, like performers and so on and so forth, because that focus is on them. So, and then everybody gets all excited because they're at a concert,
Mm-hmm.
so all that energy is extruding up. So they're just taking it from that. They're not directly taking it from people. So there's different methods in ways that psychic vampires do take what they need. But also, too, what I know that some psychic vampires, they're unable to generate their own energy. A lot of them have, sometimes they wind up having um, physical ailments that cause them to, basically either burn through the energy so quick, faster than they can replenish, or they're constantly taking because that's what functions them. So it's more of a survival for some psychic vampires. And then there's some that do take it like a drug. Narcissistic people are what comes to mind that do take it, and to them it's like a euphoric high.
Yep. And then what happens is the person that they're taking it from just feels lower. And I've actually had this happen myself. You just feel lower and lower and lower and lower until you just like, what is wrong with me? I don't understand why I feel this way. Because I'm usually like a really super bubbly person. And then
Right.
When you have somebody that's doing that to you, you don't always realize what's happening. You kind of,
Right.
I was always the type of person that I was always trying to make everybody happy and try and be bubbly and fun, and yeah. And so what happens is you start feeling crappy, you just start going down that road on those lower emotions until you one day wake up and you realize, like I did, what am I doing? Why am I doing this with this person? Like, number one, kind of like what am I getting out of this relationship? Is this relationship a positive thing for me in my life? Or is this thing something that's making me down in the dumps and feel horrible about myself?
Right.
At some point, especially if you're trying to help somebody get themselves out of the dumps, I say try and help them as much as you possibly can. But if it's something that they don't do their own work on to pull themselves back out of it, then sometimes you have to just say, okay, I wish you the best of luck. I can't do this anymore. And then you have to break it off. And then you have to, then after you do that, you have to actually energetically release that energy from your system, or it kind of just gnaws at you.
Yeah, it does. And, I've had that, when I was younger, I kept giving, trying to help people out. And I realized later in my life, it didn't quite occur to me, until later, that I was, giving too much of myself out to people that weren't willing to help themselves. And that's when I had to sit down with myself, which happened to been during my awakening, asking myself, what am I doing to myself? And going, well, you're giving too much of yourself. You need to, focus on the people who are willing to help themselves by doing that work, because not everybody wants to be helped, even though they're saying they want help. And so when I started changing that, guess what? I wasn't handing pieces of myself like Halloween, passing out candy. So it made it a lot easier. And I started to understand and have a different perspective of those who are actually wanting, to get to the next step, and those that are just like, well, I want this and this handed to me. I don't want to do the work. I just want it given. You're given pieces of yourself. And sometimes you don't know, because there is some people who, who really are, not everyone, but there's some people who are psychic vampires who will say, this and this is happening in my life, and you give them advice and then they don't do it, and then it's just another dilemma. So, but yeah, very good. A lot of people don't understand that there's many different components when it comes to psychic vampirism than just the broad experience that if you run into a narcissistic person, they're a psychic vampire. That's not always the case. So what else can you tell us about psychic vampires and what you see, being that you are able to see people inside their bodies as well as their auric field and everything?
Oh, that's another thing. What I was going to say too is balance is what it's all about with people, and reciprocation, and boundaries. Boundaries is number one. But so for people that we're working with, the other thing, sorry, I just wanted to throw that in there.
Oh no.
Yeah. One of the other things that I see is people who, not even if they have to be specifically mediums or psychics, which we all kind of are anyway. We all just have to, some of us know how that. Yeah, we just get all that information naturally. But so also there are also deceased people, ghosts, or people who are on the other side
Mm,
that are just humans that didn't go up to the light, haven't really what we call crossover yet. And sometimes they're really trying to help us in their lifetime. They're in this space. They're not in the light,
hmm.
but they're kind of still walking on our plane. And I think we
Earthbound
all know that, yeah, yeah, exactly, the earthbound. And so sometimes they go to whoever, it could be somebody who's really pretty or really full of light, and they kind of just go, ooh, I like that one. Ooh, I want some of that. And then they also can suck off our energy,
here. Hmm.
even if they don't mean to. A lot of times I'll do that. I'll look when I look into somebody's energy field, I'll go in and I'll say, there's this dude hanging out with you. And sometimes they can embed their energy into somebody's physical energy field too. So I'll have to pull them out gently, out of the person's energy field. And then what I do is I help them cross over. So
You basically transmute them in more than
yeah,
one ways. Yeah.
yeah, help them go to the light, help them. I call in angels to help me do that, but that's another way. So a lot of times when I talk to them, because I talk to them as a medium, I'll say, do you realize that you're bringing this person's energy down? You're making them sick. So what happens is it'll just make the person ill. It'll make them feel their feelings,
Hmm.
whether it's good or not. It could
Hmm.
be definitely not good feelings, and so somebody all of a sudden could completely change the way they are. Like all of a sudden, you could go from a happy-go-lucky person to a really ornery, cranky person, and not know what the heck's going on. So,
I've had those
like I said,
moments.
yeah. Well, and I did too, but it just depends on what it is. Like I said, there are also negative attachments, like
Hmm.
more darker things than I'm even talking about that also
Right.
can do the same thing. But the point is when we help them cross over and get to the light, that helps us to be just ourselves again. And kind of the same way, like I was talking about earlier, we need to still fill our energy field
Mhm.
back up, and it needs to be corrected again so that we can feel whole in ourselves.
Absolutely. And
Yeah.
meditation definitely helps in a lot of different ways. Because when you meditate, you know, you're bringing everything in balance with your chakras and everything. And it helps, soothe any type of fears and anxiety, because a lot of people at this time have a lot of this inbound energy coming in, and that helps, you know, basically transmute it. That's what you're doing, especially when you're laying in the lawn and you're transmuting that energy. You're either giving it back to Mother Earth, or you're bringing it into the cosmos to be transmuted. Because
Mhm.
if you just push it out, like she had said earlier, somebody else is going to get that. It has to be transmuted. So, and that was something that took me some time to get to know, because I was just like pushing it out, like I was angry and I was just,
Mhm.
not realizing that somebody else, could get smacked with that. Um, and then when I started, transmuting that energy, then I was like, okay, okay, I got it now. You know, because the last thing you want to do is to give it to somebody else.
Yes.
But also too, there's a lot of people sometimes get in the frenzy of you know this is a vampire, this is all that. It's not about that. There's more to it. But also too, there's being I was a certified nursing assistant for over 12 and a half years, and so I had dealt with a lot of people who were on hospice, a lot of people that were very terminally sick. And you know and you have to really be a strong person to do that field in every which way, because when you go into someone who is terminally sick, especially being an empath, you're feeling that pull of your energy. What happens is that when people are terminally ill, their body automatically, whether they know it or not, goes into survival mode. So when they're in survival mode, they're taking it at whatever they can. The person walking into the room, whatever. So can you talk about what happens when a person is terminally sick, and what happens with their body? Is that something that you see too? Is terminally people in survival mode, or?
Yeah, actually, spirit's showing me in my head. They're kind of showing me they just pull it from wherever needs to, it can come from. Just like you said, like out of survival mode. Um, but if the one thing the spirit's telling me to say is that if we brighten up our energy field, if we really do our meditation and we really get to the place where we're ourselves, we are grounded. If you're a worker that works with these types of things. As a matter of fact, I was a scheduler in a hospital for like 16 years. So I was constantly talking to patients and things like that. So I kind of understand a little bit because I was working with people all day in
Right.
that aspect. But if you keep your energy field really bright, um, and not get into the feeling of thinking, oh, poor me for them, not giving so much of yourself to them, not letting your energy leak out and, go towards them. What you have to do is you have to brighten your field and work with them in another way where you're not letting your energy release from yourself.
And not just that,
And
but
mhm.
I'm sorry, go ahead. I'll say
Oh, yeah, I was just gonna say, so I can see when it's literally like it just sucks all that front energy out of the front of the person, and I can just see it just release. And so that'll start that, like what I was talking about with my solar plexus, my belly. When I first looked into it, it was just gushing because I was still doing
wow.
that for a living, and it was just gushing out. And that's what I was doing. I was wanting to give everything I possibly could to everybody to help them. And so we have to realize that we have to stand tall in our own energy and do our connection with source in order to and pull our energy back in order to not let that suck in. Does that
Yeah,
make sense?
absolutely. And not
Yeah.
only that, for those who are in the healthcare field, whether that be nurses, whether that be schedulers, whether that be certified nurse assistant, doctors,
Hmm.
whatever, um,
Hmm.
it will help like every time, even if it takes just 5-10 minutes of your day, after you get off shift to meditate, just be in a quiet area and just, release, shed that, and and one thing that was beautiful that Kathleen has said to me before was it's like an onion. You're shedding that in that shamanic aspect of it, and it's beautiful, and they teach that in quantum, physics in regards to shedding that from your auric field, and being able to meditate will definitely help you, and it keeps your energy centered, keeps your energy bright, so that way you're not getting people trying to suck that from you. But back to what you were saying in regards to uh, different entities that are attached to your auric field that don't want to move on or haven't moved on and
Hmm.
everything else, that is definitely the case. Sometimes that can definitely happen. And there's a lot of things within the quantum aspect of life than more what's going on than what we can see, hear, smell, touch. And so when you get like those attachments and everything else, you got to understand that particular spirit, they wind up, when your energy is raised, your vibration, you're like a beacon. So you're very bright. So imagine these energies coming in and seeing your beacon bright. It'd be like a fly going into a bug light. So they just start to flock in and everything, because to them they are earthbound, so they're not getting that energy naturally. They're wanting to get it from you. So it's another way of a survival aspect, I guess, in a spiritual sense. um, but is there anything that you would like to leave with the viewers in regards to any type of advice or anything of that sort before we start to close out?
Yeah, I would just say we all can do our own energy work. And so if you learn how to ground your energy and be like, especially if you're a healthcare worker or any of those types of things, you're working with because we're all empathic, we kind of feel things from everything. And if you learn how to ground yourself, run your own energy. Um, if you learn how to do those things, you can really beef up your energy field so you aren't feeling things in such a strong manner, especially right now with the state of what's going on in the world. we really need to kind of raise our energy and, like I said, beef up our energy field so it's bright and shiny, rainbow color even. So if we learn how to do that, it really helps us to get through these things. And another thing that we're telling me is a lot of times, imagine yourself just, you can ground yourself, but imagine the white light coming down through your crown and through your whole body. That will help cleanse your energy field. You can also change it into colors like a light green color. Imagine you have a rain, like it's raining through your energy field with this light green energy. It's very soothing. Make it sparkle if you want to. It's very soothing right now, especially on people's nerves, because a lot of people's nerves are, people are worried and things, so, which is understandable. So some of these things we can do. Also, just being around other people, it's like this big web of energy right now of fear. And so we can, if we also raise our energy, learn how to ground ourselves, center ourselves. And if we send calming energy back out to the world, that'll help calm and soothe other people and everything. Animals can feel it. We can all feel it. I can drive by people's houses or just walk by people's houses and feel the energy right now. So, and it's kind of like a collective. It's a collective of energy.
It truly is. It
So
truly is.
Yep. So right now, if we really raise our energy, if we learn how to raise our energy and help send out that healing energy from our hearts, from our heart chakra, but just imagine that energy of love just going out and calming and soothing to go out to everybody, that'll help everybody tenfold.
Absolutely. And what's awesome about what's going on now, okay? Right now, the energy that's going on right now is a lot, has calmed down significantly than when it started really ramping up. To be honest with you, it's kind of rather calming. It's strange, but but the thing is too, in regards to what you're saying, I do that all the time when I take a shower. I'll imagine that the drips of water is that energy just cleansing me, and it's just awesome. For some reason, I have a affinity for water, when it calms me. So yeah, these type of techniques will definitely help you and bring you up in that ladder of energy and vibration. Everything takes vibration, and we learn that within the quantum aspect of it, that through our crown chakra to the earth and everything, energy moves everywhere and in everything. It's in everything and nothing at the same time. 0 point energy. So so thank you so much, Kathleen, for coming on and being my guest once again. I just love your energy. You're just an awesome person, and you have a lot to learn. We have a lot to learn from you, and I'm definitely, for the short time that we've known each other, I've learned significantly a lot. I was just like, wow, that's how that works. So it's been always a pleasure, and thank you so much for talking to everybody about how to be able to protect yourselves, and that psychic vampires, yes, do indeed exist, but there's other things too that's taken in your energy, not just them. So thank you so much for teaching us. And
thank you.
So you guys, thank you guys for coming on and listening to this wonderful lesson in regards to how to raise our vibration and get rid of the things that keep hanging around. So see you guys on the next video. Thank you guys. You guys are all a blessing. Later.
Bye-bye.
Bye.